Hello, and welcome to the start of a three-part series specifically covering the trial of Richard Weed, otherwise known here on YouTube as AZ Unfiltered. A lot of you think you've heard or seen corrupt court proceedings before, but I promise you, you've never heard anything like you're going to hear today. This is going to be a textbook example of how the state railroads pro se defendants in Arizona.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is in the matter of, let me get my calendar up here. State of Arizona versus Richard Sean Weed, case number 2024-069-854. It's 1:33. This matter is set for a non-jury trial. The court notes the presence of Mr. Brooks for the state. Mr. Weed is seated, also present in the courtroom. And just to confirm, the state is not seeking jail on this, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
And the prior offer was a fine of $500. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, the original offer was $500.
All right, and before we proceed, Mr. Weed, you do not want to reconsider that plea offer?
I do not.
Okay. Are the parties ready to proceed, Mr. Brooks?
State's ready.
Is Mr. Weed, you ready to proceed?
Yes, I would like to bring something up really quick. I just learned of the rules of perjury recently. Otherwise, I would have brought this to the court's attention weeks ago. After our last interaction here, I notified the prosecution that possible perjury from some of the officers due to the interview.
Mr. Weed, I'm going to stop you. That's another matter that's not here before the court today. Certainly can discuss that after, but right now we're set for a non-jury trial on the charge of misconduct involving weapons, ARS section 13-3102. Because you're pro per, let me explain how this will proceed. The state bears the burden of proof. They must prove every element of the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Because they bear the burden of proof, they go first. They're going to call their witnesses, and then you'll have an opportunity to cross-examine them. Please listen carefully.
I'm listening.
It is not the time to ask, to testify, but only ask questions. Who, what, where, when, or why. Please listen, Mr. Reed.
I'm listening.
You have
I'm listening.
all important information,
I
but
just
you need
don't
to
think you were
understand
either.
that you're pro per. This is my courtroom, sir, my rules. And there is also a rule of procedure that allows me to remove you from the courtroom if you don't cooperate, and the trial can proceed in your absence. So please be aware of that. So after the state's witnesses testify, then you can cross-examine them. If you don't have any questions, that's absolutely fine. Mr. Brooks, how many witnesses do you have?
I have two, Your Honor.
Two. All right. And then after the state rests, you don't have to do anything because they bear the burden of proof. They have to prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt, which means you have the presumption of innocence. You can simply rest and have me make the decision based on what the state has presented in court.
Wow. Listen to her misleading him in his own defense. After the state rests, you don't need to do anything. The state has the burden of proof. What? Wow. I didn't even pick up on that the first time I listened to that. She's literally telling him not to present a defense for himself, or suggesting that, alluding to that. Holy.
If you choose to put on evidence, then you are also subject to cross-examination. All evidence must be relevant and is subject to the rules of evidence. In the beginning of the trial, I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to make opening statements. That is not argument. It's just simply a summary of the testimony and evidence that you will present. At the end of the case, the state has the last word because they bear the burden of proof. So they have rebuttal testimony that they can choose to put on if they want to do that. At the end of the case, I'll give each of you an opportunity to make closing arguments, and then I will make my decision. Do you understand, Mr. Reed?
Completely.
Reed. All right, state's opening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Back on December 12th of 2024, and that evening, the defendant was stopped for a muffler violation for his muffler making unreasonable noise. During the traffic stop, officers approached the defendant, who immediately informed him that he doesn't answer questions. He was asked if he had a firearm multiple times throughout the interaction. He continued to respond that he does not answer questions. There was a passenger in the vehicle who had a axe behind him. A second officer
Had a what behind him?
An axe,
An
a
axe.
axe, such
Oh,
as a lumberjack style axe.
Okay,
Because the situation between both the passenger and the defendant was escalating, the officer made the decision to remove the axe from the vehicle for officer safety consideration. While he was in the act of removing the axe, it was discovered that the defendant had a handgun that had been left in the driver's side panel pocket next to where he was when he was first asked whether he had a firearm. Based on that, Your Honor, the defendant failed to answer, he knowingly failed to answer the question of whether he had a firearm on him. It was concealed in his means of transportation. State will be presenting, eventually will present all the evidence of both the body-worn camera, and it will also be using case law whenever it makes its arguments at the conclusion of the case, and will ask the defendant to be found guilty.
thank you. Mr. Weed, opening statement?
Yes. All right. I'm here to challenge a traffic stop and search that I believe violated my constitutional rights. My arguments are rooted in Arizona law, federal precedent, and the protections of the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendments. I ask that you careful consideration to ensure a just outcome. I am challenging the legality of the traffic stop in December 2024 for an alleged muffler violation under ARS 28955, as the officer lacked reasonable suspicion and used the stop as a pretext to search my vehicle. I also contest the state's claim that a Terry search to remove the axe was lawful, as the officer failed to articulate.
Mr. Weed, I'm going to stop you here again, because what you're doing is you're arguing. I just need a summary of the evidence. And if you don't have any, that's fine. A lot of times people waive opening. But this is not argument. This is a summary of the evidence.
Your Honor, so I would also object, these are arguments that are being made in regards to a matter that was already resolved previously in this case. So these were motions that were filed that ruled against the defendant months ago, and the court's already made rulings on those issues.
They were not resolved. They were meant to be heard today in court.
Mr. Weed, they were resolved and the objection is sustained. Do you have any further in terms of summary of evidence?
Okay, yes. I have dash cam evidence that proves that the reason for entry of my vehicle was just so they could peruse. I will be providing that.
Okay.
Dash cam evidence that shows the officer's contradictions of statements through interviews. And we're going to have fun seeing that.
All right. State's witness, first witness, please.
State calls Officer Duran, maybe we can get him.
Officer, oh.
I imposed the rule of exclusion.
Actually, can I call for Rule 19.3A where all the witnesses are separated?
We were already, that's exactly what I was saying. So, Your Honor, like we said, these officers are not being called today.
They're not testifying.
This is my investigating officer over here. He gets to remain in the courtroom, just like you get to remain in the courtroom. But I did have the officers, there's two officers that are remaining outside, which are Officers Duran and Officer Prindle, because it sounded like Prindle was going to be called by defense. So, other than that, the
Yeah.
state only plans on calling these two, and Prindle will be defense's
All right,
witness.
so the rule basically is invoked.
Okay.
I'm going to have you keep that up with you.
Hi, officer, come on up. There's a ramp that leads up to the chair here, and I will swear you in. And please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat, and you're a witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Duran, you're obviously in full uniform today. You work for Mesa PD.
I'm sorry? You said, do I work for?
Yeah, you're obviously
Yes.
in full uniform, right? So you work for Mesa PD, correct?
Yes.
All right. Can you state your full name for the record?
Officer Michael Duran,
Officer Duran, how long have you been with Mesa PD?
4 years with Mesa.
Were you working on the night of December 12th, 2024?
I was.
Did you make a traffic stop about 2252 in the area of South Country Club Road?
Yes.
Okay, and during that traffic stop, did you have an interaction with the man now known to you as Richard Weed?
Yes.
Is Mr. Weed in the courtroom today?
He is.
Could you describe where he is, what he looks like?
He is to your left, my right. Gentleman with the gray beard and green button-up t-shirt.
Will the record reflect identification of the defendant, Your Honor?
The record will so reflect.
So, Officer Duran, what led you to interacting with Mr. Weed that night?
That night, a traffic stop was conducted for ARS 28955A, which is the unusual noise from the exhaust of his pickup truck.
Before I keep going, so I said you were on Country Club. Was it Country Club in Southern, and is that in Mesa?
Correct.
All right, so you observed the defendant. Was he driving?
He was.
All right, so he's driving a pickup truck, and you said there was a unusual noise or something like that?
Unusual noise from the exhaust, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So is that the reason why you pulled him over?
It is.
All right, so what happened after you pulled him over?
I observed the defendant's vehicle around Country Club in Southern. It was headed westbound. I was waiting on a private drive also to go westbound back to the station. I could hear his unusual noise with the windows up on my patrol vehicle. I got behind his vehicle, followed it for approximately, I would say, a mile, initiated a traffic stop on Southern and Westwood.
Whenever you completed did he stop for you though?
He did.
All right, so what happened after he stopped?
I believe the address, there's a little bar right there on the corner of Westwood and Southern. I walked up to the window and contacted Mr. Weed.
Okay. Were you bringing your Axon body-worn camera whenever you talked to Mr. Weed?
I was.
Did it record that interaction?
Yes.
I'm just going to ask you preliminary questions about Axon. So you're wearing a uniform today. Whenever you're wearing your uniform, you usually have an Axon body-worn camera in the center of your chest.
Yes.
How does that Axon camera work?
So this is the actual mount for it right here. It's center worn on the middle of our chest. It has to be activated by the officer. You double tap it, and then it starts to record.
After you have it recording, does it save the files, the video files locally on the device?
Yes, as well as like a cloud.
Okay, so how does it go from being on the device to the cloud database storage?
We have to manually dock the camera at the end of the shift every night.
Okay. Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
All right. Were you able to review your video camera footage from this case prior to trial today?
Yes.
Did it appear to be a fair and accurate representation of your interaction with Mr. Weed?
Yes.
All right, state's going to, I put two different officers' cameras on the same disc. I have 1A, so at this time I'm moving to admit what's marked as Exhibit 1A. So I'm previously disclosed to this defendant. I'm also showing him the disc, but I said that I have 1A right now, so I put his camera on 1B, so they're on the same disc, but they're two different digital files.
Okay, if you'd like, I have mine are on a thumb drive, the
Yep.
same body cam.
Yep, so it'd be the same stuff.
All right.
If you're gonna end up using it to talk, then you can use your copy of it as long as
Okay.
it's the same stuff.
Yep, it's exactly the
Any objection
same.
to the admission of State's Exhibit 1A?
No.
State's Exhibit 1A is admitted. And officer, if you want to stand, feel free.
So officer, is this you and your patrol vehicle right here? Are you able to tell? I'm gonna full
I would
screen it.
assume
Well, let's play a little bit.
Okay.
Let's make sure that this is the right video here. So I've played what's been marked as States 1A at 0 seconds. The first 30 seconds of Axon body-worn camera, is it muted?
It is. It's just video recording only.
And the audio begins once you push the button?
Yes, sir.
Officer, while we're doing that, while we're waiting, I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions. So,
Okay.
whenever you first began to speak with Mr. Weed, did you ask him whether he had a firearm on him?
I did.
Okay. Do you recall what his answer was to you?
His answer was, I don't answer questions.
All right. Did he ever answer that question affirmatively or negatively?
He did not.
Did you have him exit the vehicle?
I did.
Okay. When you had him exit the vehicle, did you ask him again whether he had a weapon on him?
I did.
Okay. Did you ask him specifically if he had a firearm?
Yes.
Did you answer that question at that time?
He did not.
Well, we're gonna wait for a little bit until our
Okay.
video here works. So. Your Honor, alternatively, if we're not able to get this audio to work in the courtroom, I would propose that we simply play it on the laptop, allow defendant to come up to the table to be able to observe, and the biggest point, Your Honor, is I need the court to be able to hear. Obviously, this comes down to whether a question was answered. So
we've done that before, so we'll see if we can get some help, and if not, then we'll have Mr. Weed come up so where we can all hear and see. Oh, could you assist with the sound? Is that
So
working?
it's playing on my laptop, but whenever I plug the HDMI cable in, it's not playing. It doesn't look like there's anything muted here. There's nothing muted on my personal computer, so I'm assuming that the system has some sort of.
Everything's muted in the background.
Is it? Are they muted?
Whatever that was, may I fix it, Your Honor? So
I didn't. Because it said.
I don't know what happened, but it magically works now. Okay,
Thank you. Thank
sorry,
you.
it's all yeah. Thank you. All right, so I have the Exhibit 1A, pause at 26 seconds here, Officer. So is this your perspective, your point of view with your Axon Body 1 camera on?
Yes, it is.
All right, and is that Mr. Weed in his vehicle?
Yes.
All right, is this the initial interaction that you had during the traffic stop?
Correct.
All right, I've resumed at 26 seconds here. Well, I guess I rewound it a little bit to 26 seconds.
Hi, Officer Amex Police Department. Any weapons in the vehicle?
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions. Okay, driver's license, insurance, registration.
Sure. What you pulled me over for? Because I wasn't speeding.
Unusual noise from the exhaust.
Lying ass motherfucker. Well, I got everything on dash cam, so when we go to court for that, you'll learn a few things.
Your policy is stated, especially when you are dealing with somebody other than a passenger, what is your international? Good boy. Good boy. What's your name, international?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Richard Weed from Pine, Arizona. Mr. Richard, can I have you step out for me? Can I pat you down?
No.
Okay, let's step to the back of my truck, okay? Or the back of your truck. You have a massive knife in your pocket. You have a massive knife in your pocket, okay? We're gonna take that while we talk. Any other weapons on you?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, I'm gonna let you know that if you don't inform me of a firearm, if you have one by state law, that's a crime. Do you have a firearm on you? Very specific
I don't
question.
answer questions.
Very specific question.
I don't answer questions.
That is a very specific question. Hang out with my partners, okay?
Stop over here.
Okay. Right now, I've paused it at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Who is the officer who's in frame currently?
That is Officer Maldonado.
Okay. Do you see Officer Maldonado's left index finger right now in the frame? Do you see where it is? Where his
Yes.
hand is? Okay.
Yes.
Above his hand, is that an axe right there in the back seat, right behind the defendant and behind the passenger at this time?
It is.
Objection. It's not clear in the video what that is.
Overruled.
All right. Whenever you first, you can take a seat. Whenever you first interacted with the defendant, did you ask him if he had a firearm on him?
Yes.
All right. Was it later brought to your attention that, in fact, the defendant did have a firearm right within his means of control whenever you were interacting with him at the outset of the stop?
Correct.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any cross-examination? Any questions for this witness?
I do.
All right. The state's position is that Richard Weed failed to accurately answer the question of whether or not he was carrying a concealed deadly weapon when he said, "I don't answer questions." The state's position is that you don't have a right to remain silent when a cop asks you that question in Arizona. The problem with that is ARS 13-3102 doesn't compel speech. The statute prohibits failing to accurately answer about a concealed weapon, not silence. Richard's response, "I don't answer questions," was protected by the Fifth Amendment, as answering could lead to scrutiny of the firearm's legality, risking self-incrimination. The prosecution's claim that not answering the question is a violation of the statute, but the statute lacks obligatory language compelling speech. And forcing an answer violates the First Amendment. Check out West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, 1943. Mischaracterization of silence as a violation is an attempt to dismiss Fifth Amendment protections. This misrepresents ARS 13-3102, which penalizes inaccurate answers, not silence. Silence is a constitutional right. Anyway, I'll be uploading part 2 of this within 24 hours of you watching this, and then part 3 within 24 hours of that video. Be sure to subscribe to AZ Unfiltered. The link to his channel will be in the pinned comment and the description of this video. Thanks for watching. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it is the Direct D branded Smoker's Traveler's Kit. This is a glass blunt or a one-hitter with the Direct D logo on it, a hard case with the Direct D logo on it, and a Bic lighter with the Direct D logo on it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's available on OutfitterFreedom.com. The link to that website will be in the pinned comment and the description of this video. Definitely go get yourself one of these. Every pothead needs a Direct D smoker's kit. Trust me. You're not cool unless you have one.